This is the Meta Quest 3. It's Meta's latest VR AR headset, and it costs $500. But is it worth it? Let's find out. I actually can't see anything because I didn't turn it on. I'm actually surprised I was facing the right direction. So I think it's fair to say that I've been a skeptic of VR headsets over the last couple of years, and that's mainly because while I love the technology and it really is fun to play games in VR, I end up buying a headset, using it for about a week, and then never using it again. And so while yes, there are a bunch of great technological improvements in this Meta Quest 3 and the PSVR 2 and any of the recent headsets that have released, the question is this something that I will continue to use over the next couple months? And so in today's video, besides just giving you guys the updated tech specs and talking about how great of a headset this actually is, I want to answer the question, is this a headset that will change the way that you feel about VR? So right off the bat, this headset is more expensive than the previous Meta Quest 2. It starts at $499, which gives you a storage size of 128 gigabytes, with the more expensive option costing $649 and gives you onboard storage of 512 gigabytes. And I think that price point alone will knock out casual buyers of VR. If you're not thinking about using this headset on a regular basis, you're probably not going to spend the $500 needed to actually buy this thing. But for the starting price of $500, I do think that this headset is actually pretty capable. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's even more capable than the similarly priced PSVR 2 because it's its own self-contained unit. You don't need to tether it to anything. You can tether it to things, but you don't need to. You can play games directly on this headset. But now let's talk about some of the differences between the Meta Quest 3 and the Meta Quest 2. And the first is obviously visual. On the front of the Quest 3, you've got this brand new camera array which you didn't have on the Quest 2, at least not directly in front of the headset. This pill-shaped camera array features new depth sensing cameras and RGB cameras and does a really excellent job of capturing the environment around you, especially for AR gaming. The Meta Quest 3 is actually a really capable and really impressive AR gaming device. I was really surprised. One really nice feature about the Quest 3 is that all of the previous games from the Quest 2 and the original Quest are all backwards compatible on this device. So if you have a huge VR game library, you can play them all on your new device. One of the largest improvements that Meta is claiming that they've made on the Quest 3 versus the Quest 2 is that this device is apparently 40% slimmer. Now unfortunately that stat actually only references the white portion of the device. The device itself, with the facial interface attached to the device, which you need to have it attached to the device to actually use the device, it's around the same size as the Quest 2. So in my opinion, kind of a meaningless stat, but you know, that's marketing for you. In addition to that, the Quest 3 is also a little bit heavier than the Quest 2. However, they've done a really good job of distributing the weight so it doesn't sit as far forward on your face, and after long play sessions, it doesn't feel as heavy, and it doesn't strain your neck as much as previous devices did after long play sessions. The overall ergonomics are also improved on this device. You've got this new fabric strap, which feels really good on the head and is also very easily adjustable. You can upgrade to the Pro strap or whatever it's called. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's $70 more, and I don't see a lot of people doing that. The padding around the facial interface is also very soft and very comfortable, and of course if it gets dirty over time, you can replace the facial interface. You unfortunately can't wash it, you just have to buy a whole new facial interface, but I believe it's around $30, so it's not insanely expensive. The one problem I have with the facial interface, I feel like I've said that like 7 times during this review already, but the problem is that around the nose area of the device, you get a lot of light bleed. No matter how much you adjust it around your face, you still get some light bleed, which can be frustrating, especially when you're trying to be completely immersed and you look down and you notice, oh, there's my floor. Getting to the actual lenses themselves, they've actually increased the range a little bit. Now the distance that you can move the lenses back and forth is between 58 to 70 millimeters, which is pretty great. It should fit most eye distances or widths. You can also lean the device a little bit forward or backward to make it a little bit more comfortable on your face and also to make things a little bit more clear for you. That could also help with some of the light bleed around your nose, but it didn't help that much, and I still noticed it no matter what I was doing. The screens behind the lenses are now improved. You've got two 2064 by 2208 LCD screens back there, which are 30% or 40% higher resolution than the previous display. I forget exactly the number that Meta gave us. 30% more pixel density, there you go, which greatly reduces the screen door effect on this device. It's much improved from the Quest 2. Not only that, but Meta has also changed the lenses inside the device to pancake lenses, which have a much larger focal sweet spot. You don't get anywhere near as much blurring around the edges of the lenses as you did on previous lenses, and that's a huge improvement. And you've now also got a 120-degree field of view, plus the screens are now 120 Hz capable. So I'd say in almost every way when it comes to actually looking at the screens of the device and the screens themselves, the Meta Quest 3 is a huge improvement over the Meta Quest 2. When it comes to the actual sound of the device, it's fine. It's pretty loud. It gets louder than I think it needs to get when it's right next to your head. You can plug in headphones on the side of the device with this 3.5mm headphone jack. You can also use Bluetooth headphones. Of course, you might experience some lag using Bluetooth headphones. The one problem is that while I usually use this without headphones, if I'm doing it without headphones, everyone can hear everything that I'm doing. So if I'm playing games in the living room, which I was last night, my wife can hear every call that the ref makes, or every gunshot that I shoot, or whatever it is that I might be watching on the device, whether it's YouTube or otherwise. But let's be real, the main reason that you're grabbing this headset is probably to game. That's really the only reason that I could see myself grabbing this headset. There are some design applications that you can use this headset for. However, if you're going to be doing some of those things, I probably would grab a different headset that's a little bit more expensive, but is a little bit more accurate in some ways. So when it comes to gaming, the Quest 3 is surprisingly capable for a device that's entirely contained in this little white portion. The Quest 3 uses the Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 chip, which apparently at times can be 50% more powerful than the Meta Quest 2, according to Meta. And from my own personal gameplay testing, I had no issues when it came to stuttering or lag. There were some weird texture issues, like sometimes textures would be in the wrong place, but I think that was more of a game bug than an actual headset problem. I was hoping that the Quest 3 would have an immediate improvement on some of my older games in terms of graphics. The problem is that for older games, they actually have to patch the games before you can notice any kind of graphical improvement. So unless the game that you're playing has been patched by the developer, it's gonna look the same on the Quest 3 that it does on the Quest 2. And even when it comes to games specifically made for the Quest 3, they're gonna look good, but they're not gonna look anywhere close to as good as a game on your PC or a game on your PlayStation, which of course you can tether this to your PC by using a link cable and play games like Flight Simulator or Half-Life Alyx, and those games are gonna look incredible. But when it comes to the games that you're running natively off this device, they're not gonna look incredible. They're not gonna look bad, they're gonna look like phone games, realistically, because it's a mobile device. However, they are going to be very responsive, still very fun to play, but just don't expect like PC level graphics.
Let's go. What's up, boys? Let's go! Okay, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna run a QB sneak. I trust my abilities more than I trust you guys. I'm sorry, it's probably not team mentality. Here we go. Let's go! Let's go! Here we go! Here we go! Oh. Let's go! Yeah! I'm a champion! I'm a champion! You suck! Should we go for two? Let's go for two. Corners, here we go. Okay, Mark. Hope you got this, bud. Come on, get it. Let's go! Oh. All right.
Also, one thing that I noticed after playing this device for a while is that this center area got a little bit hot. I couldn't feel it on my face, but I did notice it when I put my hand over the top of this device right here. I don't know if that's something that they're gonna fix over time, or maybe that's just the nature of the device, but either way, it didn't make me uncomfortable. It didn't make my head hot or anything, so I wasn't too concerned about it. One issue that I did have with the Meta Quest 3 though was its battery life, and the fact that it's very short. In most cases, I found the battery getting very low after 1 hour of gameplay, maybe an hour and 30 minutes, but usually around 1 hour. So if you're playing more graphically intensive games, expect an hour. You might have to plug it in after that hour. You can obviously still play with the headset plugged in, but it's much more difficult. So just keep that in mind. If you're bringing this on a flight with you, which I don't know if I'd do that, but you could if you wanted to. Just know that your battery life is limited, and if it's a longer flight, maybe plug it in to charge every couple hours. But at this point, we've talked a bunch about the headset. Now let's talk about the controllers. The new Meta Quest 3 controllers look very different from the previous Meta Quest controllers, and that's because they no longer feature the ring. Just like on the PSVR 2, that ring was used to track the movement of the controllers. However, this time around on the Meta Quest 3, Meta has said that they found better ways to track the controllers than using the ring, which makes the devices lighter and honestly easier to use. And in terms of comfort, they're very light and very comfortable. I had no problems with these controllers whatsoever. You can also use the hand interface on the device, which is actually surprisingly accurate.
Wow. Hello. Are you me? You are me. Okay, you can't track my legs, but you can get my arms. Oh, it does a decent job of tracking my hands. It's ridiculous. I should have made an avatar, because that's dumb.
Still not perfect, but it's surprisingly accurate. But overall, I'd say the controllers are the way to go, and their battery life is great. I didn't actually have to charge the batteries once. Actually, I haven't even opened the battery case. I'm assuming it's AAA or something. Yeah, it's AA batteries. I didn't have to replace the batteries once. It's also really cool to see the battery indicator on the side of the device through the VR headset, because it sort of augments the battery level indicator on the device. Super, super cool feature, and that's something that I love about AR. And speaking of AR, the Meta Quest 3 is actually a really great AR headset because it features a full color pass-through rather than the black and white pass-through that you had on previous devices. So it actually feels like you're in the room. There's much less lag than there was in previous versions. Like, for example, moving your hand towards your face and then 0.3 seconds later it actually moves towards your face in the headset. You don't have that at all in the new Meta Quest 3. It's very, very responsive, and it works great in games that use AR features. But now we get to the question, should you buy the Meta Quest 3? My answer to that is, if you're looking for a really great self-contained VR headset that you plan to play a lot, this is a great way to go. You really can't find anything better in terms of self-contained VR headsets. It's a surprisingly large leap over the Meta Quest 2, and in my opinion, if you're looking for a VR headset, while $499 for the starting price is expensive, it's definitely worth the price. Now the problem is, if you do spend the money on this headset, are you gonna get bored after a couple weeks? That's really only something that you can answer. You gotta be honest with yourself, because it's a lot of money to spend for something that might just end up sitting in your closet. Will the Meta Quest 3 change the way that you feel about VR? Probably not. In my opinion, it's just a really great VR headset, but it doesn't change the game when it comes to VR. If you're not a fan of VR, this is not gonna make you a fan of VR. That being said, the Meta Quest 3 is a really excellent VR and AR headset, and if that's something that you're looking for, you can't go wrong with this. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. If you want to check out the Meta Quest 3 for yourself, I've made sure to leave clickable links on this video and in the description below, and I'll see you all in the next one.